Article 2, Section 1 of the United States Constitution, which is the supreme law upon which our nation is built, states no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Barack Obama certainly was not a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of the Constitution. If so, he'd be well over 200 years old. It is a fact that he is not a natural-born citizen. A natural-born citizen is a person born within the United States to U.S. citizen parents. Or a better way to state this would be a person born within the United States to parents who owe no allegiance and are not subject to any other nation on earth other than the United States of America. Barack Obama certainly does not fall into that category. His father was a British citizen, so the moment he was born, he became subject to the British Nationality Act of 1948 that declares that by descent, he being a child of a British citizen is a British citizen. There is nothing that he can ever do to become a natural-born citizen. It should have dawned on every person in this nation by now that has an intelligence greater than a slug and a mentality greater than a 5-year-old that there is something wrong when you have people from both political parties trying to tell us that we are racist and that Barack Obama was born in Hawaii, that he doesn't need to produce his birth certificate. All of our congressmen have been lying to us. We are a nation of well over 300 million people being ruled by 435 people who took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, and now they sit there and lie about it and say that there's nothing wrong. From poor old, I used to sweep the floor in my daddy's bar, Boehner and Michelle Bachmann, into the talking heads, Glenn Beck, Bill O'Reilly, Chris Matthews, getting a tingle up his leg, and all the rest. Every single one of them has been lying to us. Barack Obama is not a natural-born citizen, and he is not eligible for office. If you look through the Declaration of Independence, you'll find that many of the complaints levied against the Crown can be applied today to our government. And as a reminder, the last line of the Declaration of Independence, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. All the people that I've mentioned here are without honor. They certainly cannot be so stupid as to not know what a natural-born citizen is by now. One person that has put his life, his fortune, and his honor on line, Terry Lakin. He questioned his superiors. He couldn't get a straight answer. Finally, flatly refused to follow any deployment orders, which would have ultimately had to trace back to the usurper in office, and said he would not follow those orders until he had proof that his commander-in-chief was eligible to hold that office. He was court-martialed, or I should more properly say he was given a kangaroo court trial. He was not allowed to speak a word in his defense. He was not allowed to offer any evidence that Barack Obama was not eligible, because it may have brought embarrassment on the president. That was the reasoning of the court. And so he is in Leavenworth now, sentenced to 6 months, loss of his pay, loss of his retirement, loss of his rank, I believe also. And so the Terry Lakin Action Fund helps support his family. On April 11th, 2011, Marco of the Terry Lakin Action Fund Radio interviewed Captain Pamela Barnett, U.S. Army retired. She has some startling information that she brings forward in this interview. I'm just going to play a small clip. You can hear the entire interview at the link provided in the video information box below the video. What was really astounding is that she's found that there is an immigration record for Barry Soetoro, which is an alias of Barack Obama. If Barack Obama is a natural-born citizen, why would Homeland Security have an immigration record for this man? Natural-born citizens are not immigrants. Here's the clip, and thank you all for listening.
Lakin Action Fund show, a show that is supporting Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, who of course challenged Barack Obama's eligibility and was summarily sentenced to 6 months in Leavenworth, loss of pay, rank, pension, and essentially will be dishonorably discharged. And yet he asked the same question that Donald Trump is asking, that many others are asking, that Pamela Barnett, our guest today, is asking. And we're going to continue on. She's writing a very exciting book about this. I believe we're on Chapter 5, Pam, so let's continue on. Tell us about Chapter 5, and let's keep going through the rest of them. We get back to Hawaii, which we want to hear about.
Sure. Chapter 5, Conspiracy and Obstruction. Along the way, filed FOIA complaints to the Department of State. I had initially filed myself, and someone else had initially filed a request for Obama's mother's passport records, and I additionally requested her consulate records, dealing with the years from 1959 to, I think it was 1963. They didn't produce anything to me for almost 2 years, and that's very unreasonable to take 2 years to answer a FOIA request. But the other person who had filed a similar request was Chris Strunk in New York State, and so he had a lawsuit against the State Department, and they said that they had destroyed Obama's mother's passport records, and about three different people researched the statement that the State Department made. And we also researched the letter that the State Department, a memo saying that they had destroyed a bunch of passport records in that time frame. So anyway, I spent like over 100 hours researching this letter and policy of the State Department, and found that this program that they talked about in their memo was definitely concocted.
So you're saying similar records should have been available, they just were not in this one case.
Right, because other people were able to get records from that time period, and we had an affidavit to state that, and then just everything about this program made no sense at all. That will be available through my website also, the letter of appeal that I sent that outlines all the fraudulent aspects of this memo from the State Department. And then, unfortunately, we pretty much, between three different affidavits, we showed that the State Department was full of you know what, and the judge sided with the government and said that he had to take something like he had to have faith in the government, and that was his reasoning for not doing anything about the apparent illegal destruction of her passport records. Well, like I said, I had also asked for a consulate record. So my case is I don't have a lawsuit, but I'm in the appeal process and saying, hey, besides the passport records, I asked you for index records. There's index records available that should state, the index records show when passports are issued and who they're issued to, and those are permanent records. And so you can't say they destroyed her personal file and the index records So I'm waiting to see what they come back with me. To me this time. In the meantime, I filed a IG complaint with the State Department.
Interesting. So that's what's the next chapter then? But this is a lot of material.
Yeah.
That was 5, right? 6?
No. That's just the State Department. Then we have the Department of Homeland Security, which refuses to release any documents, immigration documents, on Barry Soetoro, which Obama's alias is. They admitted in FOIA correspondence with Ken Allen of Arizona, that there is an immigration file for Barry Soetoro, which is Barack Obama's alias. He's known as when he was in Indonesia. So to not release a record for Barry Soetoro means that there is a record for Barry Soetoro, and that he was at one point in time not a citizen, if ever a citizen, that there is an immigration file for Barack Obama. And I think that's probably one of the most damning things we have against Barack Obama, is the State Department not saying that there is no record available, but fighting the release of documents for Barry Soetoro, and then seriously redacting the documents they released on his stepfather, possibly adopted father, Lolo Soetoro. They heavily redacted information on the documents on the immigration files they released to Ken Allen. So right now Ken Allen's appealing that, and I think that appeal is actually being filed today, which I helped him with that appeal also.
Neat.
Yeah, so that's those two agencies alone. And then we have the Selective Service Agency, and definitely his Selective Service registration form is a complete. It was filed late. The agency said the application was filed in 1980, but evidence shows that it was filed in 1980, that it was most likely filed just in 2008. So they concocted this, and they had to do the Selective Service registration because it's required for male citizens to work in the federal government. And the executive branch requires you to register for the draft. So they had to create this record because he didn't have one. And most likely the reason he didn't have one is because he wasn't a citizen when he was 18, when he said that he registered in the first place.
This is just extraordinary. You know, and the thing interesting, Pam, because you are doing this research, many other people are doing this research, so even if only a small percentage of what you discovered can be verified, those things alone are, at the very least, intriguing, and at the very worst, are serious issues. So 5 is all about conspiracy. 6 is what?
Yeah, a lot. And I'm not the only one doing this. It's not only my research in the book, it's many other people's research, concerned citizens like myself. Linda Bentley had done extensive research on the Selective Service registration fraud. She had requested cards from people that filed at the same time that Obama purportedly did, and found out that the cards didn't match the one that he showed. His shows only a postal stamp with two-year digit, and every other stamp shows a 4-year digit. So everything about his registration card is very fishy. And in fact, his document location number is incorrect, the way that policy says that a document location number is supposed to be established. So
yes.